Hello and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug, and today we're going to do something slightly different from what we usually do. We're going to go over the entire build system that I use for my Psyker, so not just one build, but all of them. So let's have a look, shall we? So first of all, we have the traditional Voidstrike build. I've shown this off a couple of times, and this is generally how I build it. So, growing perilous combustions, quietude, battle meditation, replenish toughness here, perfect timing for the increased crit, a sail for dealing with hordes and chaff units really that we can just delete with this. Ethereal shards for penetration. Still not picking up quick shards because it is still pretty useless in my opinion. Mind in motion. Your movement speed is not reduced while quelling. You will be quelling quite a lot. Going down here, picking up kinetic prescience. 10% damage to elites and specials. I would have preferred to go for prescience here for the increased crit. But the problem is, if you take the 4% crit, you get locked into either taking telekinetic shield or Sky's Graze. And what we really want for this build is venting shriek to let us vent whenever we need to. And we're taking that with becalming eruption. Now decreases peril generation by 1% for every enemy hit, stacking 25 times. And creeping flames instead of that, because we are taking this along with perilous combustion. So we're taking creeping flames to apply 1 to 6 stacks of soul blaze to targets hit by your based on your current perils, as this will help deal with hordes and things. The base damage here is just, it's not worth it. So creeping flames is what we're going to go with. And we're going to come along here, grab the crit chance. Don't quite have the points to get kinetic deflector. I know it's a very good ability. If you really want to, you can get rid of perilous combustion for that, but you do lose the ability to spread soul blaze around on elite kill. And I generally find it's better to just not get hit and dance around a lot rather than taking kinetic deflection these days. We're taking Warp Rider as usual, and the same general path down here through Puppet Master, Solidify, Warp Siphon, and all of this. Generally with Warp Siphon, we're taking this because it's a large damage increase. We want the warp charges to stay at around 6 at all times, only venting when we have to. If we don't have to vent, we shouldn't. You should be riding your perils as high as you can at all times. This is your emergency button. And of course we have a sail for dealing with chaffs and hordes. And let's look at stats. So I'm using the same Voidstrike staff that I always use. I think this thing's pretty damn good. The only way it could be better for me is if I had a 25% manic damage, but it's 20, so that'll do. So I'm using Transfer Perils. That's very important to take this and Warp Flurry on this staff. I don't think there's much wiggle room for taking the blessings. Perks you can change if you really want to. I wouldn't, but you can change Flak to Carapace if you really want to just focus on crushers and whatnot. But I find this is my preferred loadout with the most success. So Flak, Manic, Transfer Peril, and Warp Flurry. And on the Blaze Force Sword, same as always, Flak and Unarmored. Unarmored is just in case we do get surrounded by Poxwalkers and the only way out is to cut our way out. So we've got Slaughterer and Uncanny Strikes just for ridiculous amounts of melee power. As for the Curios, I'm still running Health with Combat Ability Regeneration, Resistance to Gunners and Toughness. And another one with Health, Resistance to Gunners, Max Health, and Combat Ability Regeneration. And one wound with Combat Ability Regeneration, Toughness, and Damage Resistant Snipers. I find this is my preferred setup for it because we don't have a huge amount of toughness anyway. We do generate quite a lot of toughness, and if the team's playing well together, we should never lose our toughness, but if we do, the health and wound is there to kind of soak up some of that damage. And gunners and snipers are generally the thing that are going to shred us pretty quickly, which is why I build to reduce their damage. So that is build 1. That is the Voidstrike build with a sail. Next up is the Emperor Palpatine's Search Force Staff. So as you can see here, it is built for Unyielding and Flak with Warp Nexus and Warp Flurry for increased crit and reduced cast time. The sword is exactly the same as I had on the other build. And the curos are exactly the same as well. I am a creature of habit. So as the gear is the same apart from the staff, I'll just leave that on the screen a little bit longer in case you need to see it. And we'll jump into the talents. So talent wise, very similar to the Voidstrike build. So we're just not taking Perilous Combustion, grabbing Quietude, Warp Expenditure, Battle Meditation, Perfect Timing, grabbing a sail, piercing a sail, again ignoring quick shards because it's useless. Mind in Motion, we are coming in through Prescience, the increased crit. Empathic Evasion, critical hits make you count as dodging ranged attacks for 1 second. This thing is absolutely amazing. I've seen people say it's useless and doesn't work. Yes, it does. It works very, very, very well, especially if you are stacking crit. You're basically matrixing away from ranged attacks. And we're taking Telekinetic Shield of this. And we're taking the Threshold version and the double stack so that we can stun chargers, dogs, and any specials that try and jump through it. Grabbing the crit from over here, Peril Generations up here, and the health boost. Health boost we don't actually care about. We want Warp Rider. We are taking Kinetic Deflection with this, as there isn't really a point we could warp damage on warp attacks for 8 seconds after a non-warp. I mean, we could change it out for, I don't know, critical hits, replenish toughness. I mean, I think this ability can turn into a crutch, but it is up to you. You can take Kinetic Deflection if you prefer it, or you can dump it into something like Metal or Soul Stealer. Really, it's... Or you can put it into Anticipation and just increase that dodge chance. Well, dodge effectiveness. Or just some range damage. You know, it's up to you. At that point, you can just float around wherever you want, really. And we're going down... Sorry, I got distracted there. We can go down here with Warp Siphon on the usual route. And I'll actually show you a bit more of this build. So yes, the Surge Strike staff does not hit and stun as much as it used to, but it is an absolute beast. They have ramped up the damage in this massively, as you can see. And when you've got your Warp Siphon stacks running, you just have to be careful not to overheat yourself like I almost did then. As you see, you can hit 100 before you go warp crazy and explode. And what you'll be doing for your team is, especially if you're running like a high intensity shock troop, when these sorts of things are running at you, you drop the shield, and basically you are a moving barrier. You don't really want to be stopping and hiding behind it. This is here to help your team push forwards. And also with a sail, I tend to just use it to clear up hordes. As you can see, it just decimates poxwalkers, normals, even flak armor really. there you go. So that's the Third Strike build. And next, very classic build, it is the Rifthaven Purge Test 4 staff. And for this, we are taking hang on, using your combat ability makes you very much. There you go. There was a point out of place. Yep, that seems correct. So we are going to come through. Why can't I get rid of that point? Because it doesn't let you go backwards up the tree. That's annoying. Okay, so we don't need kinetic resonance. We want kinetic flare. You're mostly going to be using brain rupture and kinetic flare with its chance on hit attack. You're not really going to be using it that much to pop unless you need to kill a sniper or something at long range. It is still very useful, but not useful enough to waste a point into kinetic resonance. So we're coming down here, we're picking up perfect timing, warp expenditure, battle meditation, soul stealer, perilous combustion, coming down here, grabbing wildfire, psykinetics aura, into Seer's presence for cooldown reduction abilities, wonder of the warp, venting shriek. Again, venting shriek is only really being grabbed to help us dump perils. It's not really going to be that useful, but it's slightly more useful than the last one because it does help us spread creeping flame as well. And this entire build works around the function of generally set everything on fire at all times. As you can see, that was brain rupture going off in there. It helps you just pick out those hard targets and you will just be spreading around that whole blaze as much as you can. And with the amount of ability cooldown resistance we have and cooldown ability in general, venting shriek will be up and you can just keep chucking stacks on everything. And the critting is quite important in this because it does help with stacks, because stacks can crit. So we'll just go through this. I'll just show you what's on the staff, as I don't remember if I did or not. Increased critical strike chance by 5% and range damage to elites. The only really important thing on there is the crit chance. The second one can be anything you want. Unarmored, Manix, Flak, anything you really want. I just went with range damage because it was there. And for blessings, Warp Nexus and Warp Flurry, both are very important. You want the cooldown on your secondary ability and you want the crit chance. As for Curios again, we are using the exact same as we did for all the other builds because I am lazy and this works. And last but not least, a build you may be familiar with if you've been following the channel. This is the Voidstrike press W to win build. So, wait a minute, no it's not. I've got insane. This is the... Sorry about that, I confused myself for a second there. This is the Voidstrike press W to win there. I've got too many builds on that load. So, this works a lot like the Rifthaven build. Perfect timing, metal, perilous combustion, brain rupture, but with only kinetic flare, wildfire, because we are actually going to be wanting to spread Soul Blaze around a lot, psykinetics aura, Seer's presence, empathic evasion, wonder of the warp, interventing shriek, again taking creeping flames for the same reasons we did for the Rifthaven. It's to get those stacks of Soul Blaze. And here we are going all the way down the same sort of direction we do with Warp Siphon. And I'm just wondering if there is any way I can sneak a point at. See, this build is very tight to be able to try and get that extra 5% crit chance. I don't know. I mean, you could take out Creeping Flames for the 5% crit and see how it works. And this is using the exact same Voidstrike staff that I used for the Voidstrike build. Flak, Manic, Transfer Perils, and Warp Flurry. But you don't have a sail with this build. This build is generally for just tearing through everything with nothing but your staff. Hordes, big mobs, anything. Yeah, so this build generally works on press W to win. You'll move forward, you'll charge your staff, and you'll fire continuously. You will snipe everything with your staff. And I actually have a lot of fun with this build. It's just very stupid the damage you can do with Voidstrike these days. Especially if you're like stacking crit left, right, and center. I mean, I don't know. I probably would dump out Creeping Flames, to be honest, because you've got Perilous Combustion and Wildfire. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what... I mean, apart from getting rid of Empathic Evasion. But that is quite an important... That's something that's going to have to be more tested, really. But this way, it works. I've run this build a lot on Damnation and the Uric difficulties, and it's a lot of fun. But if you do prefer the Assail version, that is the first build that I've shown. Assail, Interventing Shriek, and down. I do find Scryer's Gaze a bit obsolete, to be honest. And there are some builds like this, for instance, this build here. I'm currently testing this. I haven't actually made a video on this one yet. This build is based around using Empowered Psionics. And it's kind of more Assail based. But it's in a bit of a weird spot. It works, but not as well as I'd like. But it's here if you want to try it out. And if you do try it out, let me know what you think. And if you've got any changes you would make to any of these, let me know. I'm always happy to try people's builds or try to build something else for people. Okay, there you go. I thought I'd give you the rundown on everything that I use on the Psyker to date. So this is the most up-to-date guide for the Psyker I have. I'll probably be doing one of these for each class and just showing you what is being used and what is being tested at the moment, just so, you know, everyone's kept up with what's going on if you do follow these builds. And if you do, I really appreciate it. And if you've enjoyed the video today, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell for notification. It really does help us out. And if you fancy it, go over to the members area, check out that. Lots of good things, and it also helps the channel out massively. So until the next one, folks, take it easy, and I'll see you later.